Okay, as you already know, okay, first step is S, okay, the shape. But then before we go and look at okay, hi guys, we meet again this time with a new thing. Okay, that we have.
At 1:29 a.m., I'd like to tell you it's not necessary to always use graphical method, table of sum. When there is special case, you no need to do graphical method or table of sum. In what kind of scenario? Let's check out the next 7 examples.
Hey, what up, people? So we are back into inequality. So this is a opportunity for us to go and recap of what we have studied with inequalities, especially with quadratic and ratio. So just would like to remind you, quadratic inequality. Okay, I advise you to use graphical method, an organized way using zigzag, whereby it's a four-step method, and ratio inequality using table of sign. So, however, these examples, 7 examples that I've arranged here, focuses on special case whereby we don't need to use graphical or table of sign even though it's quadratic or ratio inequality. Why is it so? Let us go and see. Okay, let us look at example 1. Example 1, find solution interval for this inequality. So basically this is a quadratic inequality. So I already mentioned to you, we use graphical method, or in other words, zigzag. But then this is a special case. Why? Because I know when I square something, right, for sure it will be positive. Okay, for sure it will be positive. So as you can see here, whatever value of x that I put in, say 2 minus 1, okay, 1 square, of course, is going to be bigger than 0, okay. So even if I go and put a negative value, say negative 3 minus 1, that is going to be negative 4. Negative 4 square, still going to be bigger than 0. So here, let us go and see what is the solution. So solution is going to be negative infinity to infinity. Okay, why is it so? Because as I mentioned to you, it doesn't matter any value that I go and put in, it's still going to be bigger than 0. However, there is one value that when we go and put, we don't get bigger than 0. Can you think of that value? If you realize I wanted just now, one value, yes, it's going to be 1. Why? Because if you go and put 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 being bigger than 0, nah. So I can say negative infinity to infinity, but I exclude 0. All right. Okay, guys, example 2. So again, I want to go and find the set of values of x that when I ganti, I will get less than 0. So here again, this is quadratic inequality. Okay, so quadratic inequality. Graphical method 6, but then here I don't have to. Again, special case. Why? Because I know when I square this, it is definitely positive. So here, if we think about it, right? If we think about it, can we get a value of x that I ganti? Then I square it, less than 0. We can't, right? Why? Because whenever we square something, we know the value is going to be positive. So it is just not possible to substitute a value of x that will make sure it is negative. So what is our answer in that scenario? Simple. Ta-da! No solution. Nice and easy, right? Yeah. Right, example 3. So example 3 here, okay, how do we read this? Well, I already mentioned to you to appreciate the English. So it's called ratio inequality. Ratio inequality. So before this, we have, trained our thoughts. Ratio inequality, we use a table of sign. However, this is a special case. Why? Because if you see, right, one of the thing, okay, I can tell the sign for sure. For example, okay, this is negative. This is negative. Bawah ini I got x minus 2. X minus 2, I cannot tell for sure what's the sign. But then I want the entire thing to be bigger than 0, meaning to say positive. So why I say we no need to use table of sign is because one of this thing is I can tell the sign for sure. So let us go and see in detail. Okay. So I know the top one is negative. The down one I don't know. But overall, I want this guy to be bigger than 0, meaning to say positive. So it is very simple, right? Negative divide by what? I get positive. Of course, negative divide by negative, meaning to say we have to set x minus 2 to be negative, or in other words, less than 0. So that will give us x is less than 2. So x less than 2, that is going to be the solution. Okay, so if we go and think about it, if I substitute any value of x less than 2, is it going to satisfy this? Is it going to give the fraction to always be greater than 0? Let us go and check that. So contoh, I go and take 1. I take 1 minus 2 is negative 1 mah. Up still negative 3. So divide dapat positive 3. So 3 is bigger than 0 mah. 3 is bigger than 0. So obviously our answer is correct. Okay, so this is how I said. Not necessary for you to go and do table of sign in order to find the solution. Alright. Okay, so example for this example is quite similar to what you saw just now. It's just that I changed the sign. Okay, I changed the sign here, the inequality. So again, ratio inequality, ratio inequality. So I don't need to use table reason similar to previous, whereby I can tell the sign for sure up. So this one I got x, so I cannot tell. But overall, I want it to be less than 0, meaning negative. So this is our situation. I got negative. I want to see divide by what? I get negative. Obviously, negative divided by positive is going to be negative. So meaning to say we are setting the condition on x minus 2. So x minus 2 must be positive. Okay, so must be positive, which is bigger than 0. X is greater than 2. We can go and check this answer, okay, to see whether are we getting the correct value or not. Okay, so let us go and see. So here I take 3. So 3 minus 2 going to be 1. Negative 3 divided by 1. So that will be negative. And indeed, negative 3 is less than 0. So this is our solution set. Okay. All right. I believe now you're getting into the mood. Special case. Okay. But then don't go and like everything you think about. Okay, now I don't want to use table of sign. No, no, no. If you can tell one of the sign for sure, then you no need to use table of sign. So here the thought process. Okay, you can see atas positive, down question mark, overall. I want it to be less than 0, meaning negative. So positive divide by what? I get negative. Obviously, positive divide by negative. So that means we are imposing 2 minus x to be less than 0 and x is greater than. So again, we go and pick a value just for us to test. So I take 3 and there you go, you get negative 2. So any value bigger than 2 will be the solution interval for this. Okay, after looking at some questions which are fairly straightforward, now let us go and challenge ourselves. So if you go and see this, right, I've given you like a ratio with both x's at the top and bottom. So you might be wondering, okay, now do I need to do table or sign? Think first. Think first. Okay, if we can tell the sign for sure, then no need. So for example here, if you see x minus 2 square, x minus 2 square, we can definitely tell the sign for sure, right? The up one, x minus 1, that one, no way. So this is definitely positive. Up is question mark. But overall, I want it to be bigger than 0, i.e. positive. So let us go and dissect. Question mark, positive, positive. So x minus 1 must be positive, meaning to say greater than 0. And we get x greater than 1. Okay. Now we need to go and ask ourselves, is it okay, like all value of x in these intervals will give us this? Is there any problem? We cannot take one value. What value? You think. This is Okay, just to show that this interval, I ganti satisfied. There is one value you cannot take. Okay, that means x greater than 1 is a solution, correct? But then there is one value you cannot take. If you know, type in the comment section. Final example. All right, final example. So again, we are dealing with ratio inequality. However, dekat sini kalau kamu tengok, atas positif, down also I think now you are familiar, it's positive. I want overall to be positive. Does it matter what value of x I put in? Because whatever you chuck in, you're still going to get positive, right? Atas pun positive, right? So somehow you're going to get everything to be positive. However, you need to be very careful of one particular value that you cannot have. Okay, that won't give you to be greater than 0. What is that value? What is that value? So here, since I say it doesn't matter, I can put in any value, so that will give us solution negative infinity to infinity. There's one particular value that you cannot have. What is it? Since the previous question, I let you to think dekat sini, okay, we can say negative infinity to infinity. You cannot take one particular value. Yeah, keep on saying one particular value, value is 1. Kenapa? Because if you go and put 1 in the denominator, it's going to be 0. 3 divided by 0 is going to be math error. So, cannot have mostly. Okay, so hope you learned something here, okay, in this special case. So, I'll be catching you in the upcoming videos. So, have fun, all the best. Okay, PSPM is getting near and near and near. Stay focused, guys. Love y'all. Ciao.
Like, subscribe, and share.